Have you ever wondered what it was like in the Wild West? We saw the movies, we read the books. Was that really what happened? I just want to share with you a little bit about the book, Bud Hardcastle, The Truth Tracker. I'm Roseanne Pretty. I'm the author of the book, but it is the story about Bud Hardcastle and his pursuit of the truth about Jesse Woodson James.
We were talking about what got me into this, and one thing led to another. I thought, like everybody else, that history was correct, that Jesse James was killed by Bob Ford, and found out just how wrong it is. And you've been around it long enough now that you know that Jesse went on and lived to be if he'd lived 2 or 3 more weeks, he would have been 104 years old. It's been very interesting, you know. The main thing I want to do is tell the truth. Bring the truth out. When I found out about Aubrey and Ola Everhart living in Lovington, Texas, probably in the early 90s, I called Aubrey, and Ola had passed away. And he said, "Come on now." I took Kenny Brown with me to film our 2 days out there, and had a lot of things. They had one room that looked like a Jesse James museum. Papers and things, but they had his pajamas that they bought for him to sleep in while he was there, and they were washed up and put up there on a shelf. It was a neat deal. They took care of Jesse every time that he was brought there, and got in touch with her, told her that he was going to Lawton, Oklahoma in 1948, and he'd like for her to be there, and she and Aubrey drove up there. They were there when he came out in the open with who he was. In 1949, they took him to Merrimack Caverns at Stanton, Missouri, gave him a 102nd birthday party. September the 7th, 1949, I believe is the exact date, and it is. Celebrated his birthday. Ola went up there, Aubrey did too, and a lot of other people, James R. Davis and Billy the Kid, Brushy Bill Roberts. John Trammell, Jesse's old cook, was there. He lived to be 118 years old in 2 days. Would you kind of explain those guns for me, please?
This was Jesse's .44 Remington. This is the gun he died with, the one he had about the last 65 years, right before he died.
He had that here at Merrimack Caverns with him?
Yes, sir. And this was Frank's .45 Colt with your long barrel.
Is that the one that Crittenden had?
Yes. Now this was Jesse's main one, and this has got a very good balance as far as the balance of your gun. Of course, we've had to tape these because they've been handled so much.
He fired that out at Merrimack Caverns one day, didn't he?
Oh, yes, indeed.
Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Well, one day he was in the cabin, and the nurse had gone up to the cave to get some food. Well, while she was gone, somebody kept knocking on the door wanting to get in to see him. Well, it made him mad, so he picked up this gun and just fired it. And there's a baby in the back seat of the car, and it just grazed right over the top of the back seat of that car. And luck happened, it didn't kill that baby. But when my husband found out about it the next day, he took the bullets out and put blanks in it. Well, it was about 4 or 5 days later, Jesse was fooling with it, and he discovered they had blanks in it. He threw that gun clear across the floor, he cussed him out, and he wouldn't speak to him for a week at a time.
You know, he had to know his guns pretty well. Most people would have never figured that out.
You better believe it.
What kind of person was he? Was he cantankerous or good-natured? Or
very intelligent man, self-educated. He'd spent time in England, South America, Canada, all over. But he could be very cantankerous at times. very hard to get along with. It just according to what kind of mood he was in.
Yeah.
No, very intelligent man. He was a history book within himself.
Your husband checked him out quite thoroughly, didn't he?
Oh my, about 23 years research. Yeah.
And he believed just as much as I do that Frank Dalton was, in fact, Jesse James.
Absolutely. He had all the bullet wounds, the rope burns on his feet and neck, the lung puncture and all.
No one could have known all the things that he knew without being him, could they?
Oh, absolutely not.
They loved him. They took good care of him. He was a good man. At times, the Civil War and things, the North coming into their homeland and killing people, the railroad, taking their land away from them and things like that kind of dictated what happened to them. I agree with him. If you're any kind of man at all and somebody comes around, you blow your mother's arm off and kill your little brother, if you don't stand up against that, you're not much. Now his first rule was self-protection. Somebody going to kill them first. Other than that, good man. Mm-hmm. And I know that's hard for a lot of people to understand, but they didn't find out things about him like I have. Mm-hmm. I've got as good a feel for him as anybody alive today.
Bud Hardcastle was quite a remarkable man, and I ran into him when I was researching my family history and learned that part of my family didn't tell us everything about Jesse James and one of our second great granduncles who rode with Jesse James. I had searched and searched for several years to find out if this was true, and I ran into Bud. He was incredible. I said, yes, I have a story to tell, but good night, you do too. So I worked with Bud for 7 years. Bud gave me documents and pictures and letters, just tubfuls of information that he had collected for 45 years. And I took it and we put it all together. I did a lot of research on my own to validate what he was saying. And good night, everything turned out where he was completely right in all his findings. We talk about the Civil War and how he described his whole mission, I guess you'd say. And he always called it the war between the states. We go into people that he loved, especially women that he had relationships with and had children. And there were several children that Bud met that descended from Jesse James, which we go into those stories. We go into the ranches he was involved in and the horse racing he was involved in, the horse raising he was involved with, and the different wars that he was involved in. We go into Texas when he became involved in the oil. Bud was the first one to really understand about the Knights of Golden Circle.
Research, you have an idea where they were at. And I would go there and there would be their carvings and things. Knights of the Golden Circle was an organization that the South had. And after the war, their job was to obtain money by about any means and bury it for the South when the South rose again. The South didn't rise again. A lot of that money's still out there, and we know that it is, because I've been involved in recovering some of it. You work on it and work on it and work on it, and you finally kind of go to figuring out what some of it means. I can break it down pretty good now.
So Bud gives us lots of nuggets of gold. Bud was very forthcoming. He was very generous in his information because he wanted other people that were interested in this sort of thing to be to get well grounded and give them a few hints here and there on how to find treasure of Jesse and to understand Jesse. That was the main thing that Bud wanted to do. There's plenty of evidence to validate that J. Frank Dalton was Jesse Woodson James.